Everybody recognizes him as a credible voice on not just where we are, thanks to tech and innovation, but where we're going. Jay joining us ahead of his appearance with his Dark Sky Band coming up in Jasper in just a short while.
What's been happening in the last 6 months or a year maybe with brain implants is pretty fantastic, because what it's revealing, if you get electrodes spread over the surface of the brain and you get them in the right places in the brain, if you train a monkey, and this has been done a lot by Elon Musk's company Neuralink, but it's been done elsewhere as well. If you train it to play Pong, move the joystick, play Pong, they're very good at it. They get a banana smoothie as a reward every time they hit the target. If you link a computer to their brain implant, so you're recording from their brain, that what we're looking at now is a human skull, but you see all those little black dots. Those are electrodes resting on the surface of the brain. You can do amazing things, like in the case of the monkey can play, once the computer is familiar with the brain activity associated with the monkey's hand moving right or left, forward or back, the computer can play the Pong game based on the brain activity in the monkey. The monkey doesn't have to use a joystick. So what that says to me is you can help people who have, for instance, disabilities in being able to speak. But the brain implant has trained up on her brain activity, and now she wants to say something within a couple of seconds. The words will come out generated by the computer. And this group in California has even gone further and created an avatar of Anne whose mouth moves to look like it's speaking the words that the computer, she couldn't have a conversation until this brain implant. And now there's beautiful video of her sitting next to her husband, who's wearing a Saskatchewan Roughriders t-shirt, by the way.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah.
And talking about the Blue Jays, the really useful, really important, fantastic progress that's being made to help people like your cousin and many others to be able to lead as full a life as possible. And the conjectures by people like Elon Musk and other Silicon Valley people of some kind of crazy far off future. But, as Arthur C. Clarke, the science writer, said, if you want to know what's going to be possible in the future, you have to push a tiny bit past the possible into the impossible. And you know what? I think he's right, because he always contended that people that made kind of mild predictions, that's not interesting. It's the predictions that seem impossible to you that actually turn out to exist.
Probably talking about this in Jasper, and we'll let people know all the details. This is a really neat opportunity. You can check out, by the way, jasperdarksky.travel, see how you can listen to Jay Ingram and the Dark Sky Band show, which is going to be super cool. We're showing some footage right now for people watching on YouTube of Singapore as one of the cities of the future, and obviously representing one of the world's more populated urban centers. Do you or have you looked into it all, Jay? When you take a look at the global population right now at 8 billion, you say it'll be up by 10 billion in the next 15 to 25 years. Like, is there maximum capacity? Is there a tipping point when it comes to population?
That has to be tied into climate change, because there are already places in the world that have been identified as potential places where it's just too hot to live. And if those eventuate and then more of them come on stream, then you're going to have an issue where people are going to be migrating in gigantic numbers around the world. It's just impossible to say what that's going to happen to population growth. There have been some recent projections that even though population is going to continue to grow to 2050, it may actually level out and then start to drop. And some of the more extreme projections suggest that by 2100, the world population might be less than it is now. But we're going to be talking about that in Jasper. And, the fact that I'm taking pieces from the book, but also pieces that arose after the book was finished. And then you're going to add rock and roll, because I'm giving this talk with a band.
I love
and
it.
Fantastic video. It becomes a different kind of experience. Just had to plug that. So.
We're also talking about the future of food. And I want to ask you about this before we go. I mean, lab-grown meat. What do you think it looks like in the future.
Lab-grown meat, the key to this is you only need a few cells from an animal. You could take it, take it with a needle and grow it in the lab. The problem is we're very good at growing cells in the lab, but on a medical scale where you have a few cells in a glass dish, you're going to need giant vats to be able to do this. I think it's possible. Globally, there's going to have to be a significant shift away from very environmentally intense food production to something that's more sustainable. People laugh if you say, what about eating insects? And that's actually just a cultural blind spot when you consider that probably 2 billion people in the world eat insects or insect products routinely. They're fine. It's just we have this very strong cultural. There's a great line in thinking about eating grasshoppers. Somebody decided to call them sky prawns.
Canadians are struggling as inflation pushes up grocery bills, but subsidizing snacks made out of bugs doesn't sound like the right solution for taxpayers. Farming crickets requires a whole lot less space than growing grain.
Did you know that already there are a certain number of insect parts are allowed in food that we buy at the supermarket?
Like what?
So, if people are dead set against consuming even a fragment of the thorax of a grasshopper, they're already doing it.